Okay, number 17. A city has three major events on the 4th of July. You have a parade and a seaside party and a big soccer game. All right, and suppose that people can gather together because all the viruses are gone. All right, the number of people each event will attract is shown below. Right, so the parade is really a big event. Okay, much more so than the seaside party. So of course you want to send some officers to control the crowd. The city wants to send 400 police officers, okay, to protect these 72,000 potential people who are going to attend these events. Determine how many police officers should be assigned. Okay, so again, you can see the method of apportionment or the theory of apportionment you applied in a situation like this. It doesn't have to be Congress or politics, right? We are to use Hamilton's method. So what's the first thing you do? Yeah, to find the divisor, okay, D. Right? And this will tell you how many people each police officer is to protect, sort of, or to watch over. So because you have 72,000 people and you have 400 police officers, you divide 72,000 by 400, and that's 180. Okay, so you should have approximately one officer for each group of 180 people. All right, so then with this, you divide, of course, you divide the number of people in the crowd by 180, right? So if you divide this by 180, you get 224.16. Okay, now remember, you have to learn how to do this. You have to know how to get all of these numbers. So think logically, all right? If this is the number of people that should be assigned per officer, then how many officers should be assigned for each of these events? And that should be easy, right? 8,550 divided by 180 is 47.50 exactly. And then how about 1,100 divided by 180? That's 128.33. This adds up to 180. You may want to make sure, because this should be, this should not be adding to 180. This should be adding to 400 because this number D was calculated based on this number. Okay, so this is not 400, it's 400. That's it. This number is incorrectly shown on the answer key. I can see that now. All right, and then the minimum quota. How do you get the minimum quota? All you have to do is to ignore everything that you have written after the decimal point. So it's 224, 47, 128. This part should be almost written instantaneously. Okay, this adds up to 399. All right, you make sure you have your calendar, the calculator, not calendar. Make sure you have your calculator before you open the test online or if you take the test. Okay, so you have one more. Okay, you can send one more officer to one of these places. What are the remainders? Okay, look at all the remainders here, 0.16, 0.50, 0.33. Which one is the biggest? This one, right? So this will get the extra officer. Party will get 48 instead of 47. The other numbers are the same. Okay, these are the same numbers. And this happily adds up to 400. And you say, yay, we know where that one extra officer is to go, and that fortunate officer will go to the seaside party. All right, so that is how you can do number 17. All right, number 18 is to use Jefferson's method to do the same problem. Okay, notice all the numbers are the same. And instead, and by the way, we were supposed to use 180, and now we are allowed to use something, a number less than that. And this number is tricky. If you're actually using 180, and then if you are trying to figure out what number would work, okay, that would require a lot of trial and error applications. So for a question like this, I will give you a number that will work. Okay, so I'm giving you this number, let D be 179.2, which is slightly lower than 180, right? And so all you have to do here is to divide these numbers, each of these numbers, by this. Okay, so and then if this number that I give you is correct, everything should work out, right? So this number here, of course, this number will be close to 224. but it's slightly bigger. 2, try to do that on your own, in your own calculator, and I think you'll find out this is 225.16, blah, blah, blah. This is 47.71, blah, blah, blah. And then this is 128.90, and so on. Okay, in Jefferson's method, you don't try to look for the state or the event with the largest number here, okay? Because really, if you have to, all you have to do, if this number is right, all you have to do then should be to just eliminate these decimal portions. Okay, so this is 228. Just go ahead and write down the whole number part, and this should add up to 400, and it does in this case. All right, so that means this is a good number, a good new divisor, a modified divisor to use in this case. Okay, so now you can sit and compare this. Right, you get this number. See, we lost that. The extra police officer actually went to the Seaside Parade, which happens to be the parade, which happens to be the biggest crowd attracting event. Remember, Jefferson's method tends to favor bigger states as opposed to the smaller states that's favored by Hamilton's method. So this is pretty simple, okay, once you understand how Jefferson's method works. I mean, it's simple because I'm giving you the number, and on your tests, I will also give you that modified divisor. Okay, you have a few more questions. Let's look at number 19. These are questions about voting. A labor union is considering 3 healthcare plans, Plan A, Plan B, and Plan C. 100 members have declared or ranked their preferences, right? 3 plans. So if you have 3 plans, there could be possibly 3 factorial, which is 6 different ways to rank these, A, B, C, A, C, B, and so on. But A, C, B doesn't appear here, right? So that's okay. These 100 members have chosen 4 out of the 6 permutations, all right? So 22 people favor A, B, C in that order, and so on and on. Okay, who is the winner by the plurality method here? Okay, now you have to show your work, by the way, and I should emphasize this. Let me write this down. No credit will be given, because in the past, I've had so many students who will just guess the answer, okay? Guessing will not give you any point. Did you hear this? No credit is given unless the work is shown. You have to explain. Even if it's trivial, you have to explain how you got the answer, okay? So over here, what kind of work do you show? I mean, is the answer obvious, or is it not? Plurality. Basically, plurality is a method where the candidate with the most first place or first choice or first place votes wins, right? A has 22. B has what? You have to tell me that it's 28 plus 10, because both of these columns prefer B or rank B as the first choice. So that's 38. C has 40, right? So the answer, C, wins. Okay, but you have to explain to me that you've got these numbers, 22, 38, and 40, and therefore the person with 40 wins. Okay, you can't just say C and not have any explanations, because you don't get any points if you do that. All right, who wins by the instant runoff? Okay, this is maybe the most complicated one. Well, let's follow the procedure here. What happens in B? First of all, because you have to eliminate somebody, right? The first place winner, first place votes, 22, 38, 40. Looking at that, A gets eliminated first. Okay, so now you cross out A from all of these columns here, and then you look at what happens, right? So I don't have enough space here. Maybe I should just go ahead and redraw this again, 22 without A, okay? So because A has been removed, let's go ahead and try to do this again. If A is eliminated, you have BC in this column. You have BC, BC, CB, okay? If A is crossed out, this is the new preference chart or the preference schedule you get. Notice here, B is preferred over C in the first 3 columns. Okay, so now you have, maybe I should say now, B has 22 plus 28 plus 10. That's 60 people. And A has 40. And therefore, the 3 dots mean therefore, B becomes the winner by the instant runoff voting. Okay, did you get that? A gets removed first, so it's only between B and C, but between B and C, B would get 60 votes if A weren't there, and C gets 40 votes if A weren't there. And so the answer is that B wins by 60 to 40. Again, I need to see these numbers 60 and 40, especially the number 60, because this wasn't there before, right? And in order for you to know the answer, you have to have this number 60 as the basis of why B has just won the election by the IRV method. Number C, is there a Condorcet winner? Okay, let's compare. We have already established that with B and C, okay, B is over C, right? Is B over A? How about B and A? If you compare B and A, and I'm going to just erase all the markings because it's sort of complicated. Okay, so I should say that B wins over C in a one-on-one comparison because B gets 60 and C gets 40. Right? So B wins over C with a score of 60 to 40, if you want to say it that way. How about B over A? Okay, so and by the way, because C is lost, C cannot be a Condorcet winner, right? So you want to compare A and B now. How about A and B? Well, if you didn't have C, okay, then you ask the question. You have B over A here, B over A here, B over A here. Only 22 people prefer A over B. Everybody else prefer B over A. So what is that? If you calculate 28 plus 10 plus 40, that's all but the 22 people out of 100, right? So that's 78 people favors B over A. So B is over A by the score or by the votes of 78 versus 22. This is what I would call a landslide, right? So if B beats C and if B beats A, B is called the Condorcet winner, and therefore B, and so the answer is yes. Okay, is there a Condorcet winner? Yes, the answer is yes. And if so, which plan? The answer is B. Plan B wins by the Condorcet method. All right, then number D, use the border count method to determine the winner. To save you time, and I probably will give you this as well on the real exam to save you time, the numbers will be given to you. Okay, so the third place, what would you have to do if I didn't give you these numbers? This is what you would have to do. Okay, so for instance, for A, look at A. Does A have any third place? Yeah, A has 28 plus 40. That's 68 first place votes. Does A have any second choice votes, second place votes? Yeah, A has 10 second choice vote. And how about first place? Yeah, A has 22 first place votes, right? So this is the summary of all those things I'm telling you. So how do you get that? Well, 68 times 1, maybe I should, yeah, it's okay. And then let's go ahead and put it the other way. It's 1 point for each of the 68 people who voted A as the third choice. And then 2 times 10 plus 3 times 22. Remember what I encourage you to do? I have encouraged you to do this kind of thing first. Just go ahead and put 1 times this plus 2 times this plus 3 times this. And you write it for each row like this, okay? And then you can, since I have, all these numbers here summarized for you, you can put 68, 10, and 22. you can do this calculation. Remember, it's 68 plus, you have to do the inside the parentheses first. So this will be 68 plus 20 plus 66, okay? And you'll find that this adds up to 154, right? Now, again, take your own calculator, make sure you can do this kind of calculation. All right, so B, now I have given you this, so the answer is obvious here. It's 0, 62, 38, and you can just do this addition. It's this time the plus that, and you'll get 238. If I didn't give you these numbers, then what you have to do is to actually figure out these numbers. How many third place votes does B have? B has none, okay? But B does have 40 plus 22. That's 62 second place votes. And then does B have any first place votes? Yes, 28 plus 10. So it's 38. So these numbers are not hard to be able to figure out. Okay, you should be able to find these numbers. But to save you time, I will probably end up giving you these numbers. If not, you can just try to find these numbers from the preference chart, preference schedule. All right, so those are the two numbers so far. Let's go to the third one. This is 32. C gets 32 third place votes, 28 second place votes, and 40 third place votes. If you add up these numbers, you get 208. It's this plus that. All right, so the winner turns out to be B again. So it seems like B is the winner for this, unless you do the plurality method. Okay, so hopefully this has been clear. If this is not clear, try to do this again and see if you can follow the, the argument or the logic of who wins. All right, two more questions. Number 20, both have to do with art. Use the initiator and generator given to draw the next three stages. So you can see what happens, and maybe you can try to explain this in your own word. Okay, so what happens between the initiator and the generator? What change is made? The answer is that you have two small segments from the edge, or from each of the ends of an edge, right? So now you have two endpoints from at where, or two endpoints where one segment each is sort of grown out of those two endpoints. Now notice here you have four endpoints, okay? So from all these four endpoints, one edge should grow at each of these. Okay, so this is step one, this is step two, and now you should have 8. Remember, these things will grow exponentially. You have 8 ends or endpoints. Okay, and so go ahead and try to draw that. Okay, and out of each of these 8 endpoints, you should have a little edge growing like this. Okay, now if you want to have fourth, well, then you can copy the third step picture, and you should have 16 ends, and so each of the 16 you can just do this. I don't think you want to do more than step 4. Okay, the step 5 would be from the ends of each of these, I think it's 32, then you want to put another edge. So but anyway, this is what is going to happen. Okay, let's go to the last one. The actually, I think on my answer key, maybe I should have called, I may have called the step 0 and 1, 2, 3, but it doesn't matter. Okay, I say give the next 3 stages. So this is the first stage, second stage, and third stage. All right, finally, the pipe below is not drawn correctly. Okay, so this doesn't look realistic, right? This maybe sort of looks like what you would see in a cave in Egypt or something, because we know better now, right? After the Renaissance, and people practice the principles of perspective. And so this is the vanishing point. I'm giving you a vanishing point. Try to draw this correctly. What do? Okay, well, these are the lines parallel to each other and perpendicular to the, it's parallel to each other in the real world, right? So what you have to do is to make sure that they all, I think I'm going to draw this in a solid line. All right, so make sure they all meet in a parallel line. Actually, you know what? I think the last one was better. Okay, so let me draw this And in fact, maybe it's good for you to do this as well. Why don't you draw this with a dotted line at the beginning, okay? And because you have to have another circle here. And so I'm going to draw a circle, maybe red is okay. So this other circle will be smaller, like this, okay? And then you say, well, I don't, I can't draw a straight line. You can, you're welcome to draw you use a straight edge, like a ruler or like an edge of your credit card. Sometimes students take out a credit card during an exam to draw these straight lines. And at this point, I think I'm going to use a solid line to draw this. See, the thing is, this shouldn't go all the way to the, the vanishing point, right? So this will be okay. And that's pretty much all you have to do, okay? So you see that the front part is bigger than the back part, and that should be what happens when you apply the principles of perspective. So, and that should be it. Okay. All right, so if you have finished all your worksheets and your homework from chapters 6, 7, and 8, and if you have gone over these problems, you should be pretty ready for test number 3. All right, so I hope you'll do well, and until then, I hope you have a great day or great week. I'll see you later. Bye.